how did the media barons report Hitler's initial rise to power, the initial years?
Well, there was a spectrum. Certainly, the most overtly pro-fascist was Lord Rothermere, who owned the Daily Mail. He thought that Hitler was a positive force, and he went to Germany and personally reported stories and wrote stories in addition to editorials about how he believed Hitler was reviving Germany, helping to make it a world power again, that you could just sense the energy and excitement in Germany as the Nazi party came to power. So he was very overtly pro-fascist. Hearst was also sympathetic to fascism, or had sympathetic coverage of fascism in the early 1930s. He had earlier had positive stories about Mussolini. He hired a lot of world leaders to write for his newspaper, so he paid Hitler and several Nazi leaders to write for the Hearst publication, so to put forward this unfiltered Nazi propaganda in these American newspapers. Hearst did say that he thought that Nazi anti-Semitism was a mistake. And he saw anti-Semitism not as like a feature of Nazism, but like a bug, like some minor thing they could fix, but was otherwise quite friendly, at least in the first couple of years. The other press barons were more mixed. Sometimes they saw Hitler as a danger. Sometimes they saw Hitler as a positive force for Germany. But mostly, they all agreed that it was no business of their country's governments what happened in Germany, that they should stay apart, and that their respective governments should not get involved, should not worry themselves about what was happening in Germany.
And were the other press barons, did they take the same note and tone about anti-Semitism that Hearst did, that it was not a nice thing, but that's their business, and it's aberration of some sort?
Right, exactly. I mean, their chief concern was that, wow, Hitler really should realize that his anti-Semitism is costing him international support. So maybe he should stop doing that thing. But, the rest, that's great.
Okay, so
and there was also,
oh, please.
There was also a lot of comments about how, well, you can understand how Hitler might be anti-Semitic because, the Jews, the Israelites, as they called them sometimes, are they would say a pushy people, or tactless, or rude, or insinuating themselves into positions of power. So you can understand how they might want to have these laws, this prejudice, because it's totally understandable.
Did this come from a anti-Semitic worldview? Was that part of what was happening here, or again, was it mixed depending on which press baron we're talking about?
Well, I would say that they all shared in the anti-Semitism of the era. Some of them were more overt than others, but certainly in the United States, anti-Semitism was very common, and even as late as 1938. 58% of Americans said that they thought that the oppression of Jews in Germany was either wholly or partly their fault. That they're pushy people, they brought it on themselves. And that's an idea that is shared widely in the US and the UK, and is certainly shared and perpetuated by these media barons.